So in the past few videos and live streams, I've talked a lot about how I want to minimize all of the tech I use to make my videos so that we can take more trips and travel. And of course, now we are traveling. Check out Tailosive Talks if you want to see more of those daily adventures. I'll be posting what's going on here in Puerto Rico. But as far as what tech made it in my travel bag, I wanted to dive into this with you today because in the past, I've never really had a tech bag. I've pretty much always lived where I worked. Now we have some gear that's left behind, some gear that made the cut. But of course, we have to start with the bag itself, which actually I got from my wife, Mooker fashion bag, which has little leather accents and feels very clean, very minimal. I had a Swiss Army backpack for a few years and it's very practical. It can hold a lot of stuff, but as you're traveling and having to slide things under airline seats and that kind of thing, it gets a little bit old to have something that big, whereas this, as you can tell, is not overly large. It's pretty lightweight and it is fairly flat when you lay it down, so that's what I like about this bag. And also it uses a lot of magnets to like attach and disconnect things, which I like. So first part here, we just unzip like this and we can find most of the valuables inside, starting of course with the M1 Max MacBook Pro. Of course, I've still been editing and live streaming all of my stuff off of this even back home, so of course the laptop easy to take with me. But macOS has never been quite as good at doing video thumbnails as iPadOS. So as much as I may complain about the iPads back home, I still love the Apple Pencil and I still love using Over, which has now been rebranded as GoDaddy Studio. But I have an old version of the app that I actually keep loaded on here because I prefer the old design and I just haven't updated it. Gotta be careful anytime you get automatic updates on this thing, but it's still great for if you just want to watch movies and shows on planes and stuff because it's not as bulky and it doesn't take up as much space as the 16-inch MacBook Pro does. And it's fairly lightweight, so you can even hold it if you need to for extended periods and you don't really get much hand fatigue. The good news is both of these products charge via USB-C, the superior port, which means that there's even less I have to take with me in terms of actual chargers. So this is Apple's 30-watt USB-C power adapter, of course USB-C, and I'm actually able to charge my MacBook Pro with this thing and the 13-inch iPad Pro. Usually I don't need to charge both at the same time, so it's just kind of a little leapfrog game, and it allows me to not have to pack the giant 140-watt power brick. Plus, when you're in a different place with a different setup, you don't have power outlets where you're used to having them, so being able to charge the MacBook from the left or the right has already proven to be somewhat convenient. And of course, this is much lighter, doesn't take up as much space as the 140-watt brick does. With lots of travel time on the flight, AirPods Pro, of course, have been immensely useful cutting out all of that background noise. However, I found after wearing these for like 5, 6, 7 hours, they start to still make my ears a bit sore, so I'm still kind of like fingers crossed that Apple can do something with AirPods Max to make them actually worth it. Although these still get the job done in the meantime. The sound quality is good, and the charge case, while it does still support Lightning, is compatible with MagSafe charging, which of course you probably already knew this. I don't go anywhere on any trip without MagSafe Duo. Even if it's not a work trip where I'm planning on making videos while I'm away, even if it's just, a permanent vacation, this charges my watch, this charges my phone, and it charges the AirPods, and I charge this with a separate brick. I'm sorry, I couldn't do everything off of one brick. Maybe I need to find one of those multi-charger cables, but this is the 20-watt USB-C power adapter that Apple makes, and of course it supports a decent charge rate with MagSafe Duo. I don't think that I have the brick high enough to sustain the fast charging for, of course, my Apple Watch Series 7, but that's okay because I'm trying to preserve battery health anyway. I don't need it to fast charge. It usually just charges overnight, and this did last me several days during the trip over. Not to mention, the one reason MagSafe Duo is so expensive, more expensive than all the other 2-in-1 chargers out there, is because you can fold it up and it takes up such little space in a bag. This comes with the USB-C to Lightning cable, so if for any dire reason I need Lightning, I still technically have access to it through MagSafe. But luckily, this never gets disconnected. It's pretty much plugged in all the time, and I don't have to touch a Lightning cable. That pretty much covers all of the Apple related stuff I brought with me, but there is still some more. Of course, when I'm filming more and more stuff on the go, having a little tripod that doesn't take up too much space that I can attach my iPhone to is immensely helpful, and that's why I use the Manfrotto Tripod. Not a sponsor, there's no sponsors in today's video, but it lets you pivot it if you want to hold the iPhone in portrait mode or in landscape, of course. It's just a little button on the side that makes that fairly easy to pivot around with. The legs are fairly stable and really secure. I mean, even if you don't have a surface big enough for these to extend all the way, because of how grippy the side surfaces are, it can still like maintain its weight and not budge around too much. It's just very sturdy. I mean, it's probably a bit more pricey than some other tripods out there, but gets the job done so that my wife doesn't have to constantly be a human tripod. Thanks, honey. Lastly is the one piece of tech gear that I felt like the iPhone wasn't going to be able to cut it with, which is, for one, the microphone attachment here, but the mic itself is actually the Zoom H6, which this I've actually owned since the Attic days. It's a very old piece of tech gear, probably the oldest one that I still use on a daily basis. So yeah, all of my tech and EV videos back home are recorded with this microphone, and the iPhone camera I've been very impressed with. Of course, this whole video is shot on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. The video performance is fantastic, and I've seen many people in the past, as I've recorded videos with my iPhone, not really be able to tell the difference, or say that the difference is small but it still looks good overall. The biggest bottleneck though has always been audio. Whenever I switch to the iPhone's audio performance, more people are able to pick up on it, and it's not what they're used to. So that's why I brought the Zoom H6 with me, because this has a very directional microphone, so it doesn't capture too much surrounding audio. And of course, to show you guys in the video right now, I'm not using it. So we're still using the onboard iPhone microphone right now, but in future videos, I'll switch to this, because while we're in this beautiful scenery with this jungle and everything, we are hearing a lot of bird noises and insects and bugs and stuff, all just kind of singing in harmony together, and I need a way to block out all that crap. And that's what the Zoom microphone is supposed to be good for, is just like picking up your voice and prioritizing that. But the iPhone camera itself, I'm happy enough with, and yeah, that means there's no Blackmagic camera in this bag, because for one, it's somewhat awkwardly shaped, so it's going to take up a lot more space, and also I think that the iPhone camera is really good. It's so simple to just airdrop footage to the MacBook after you've recorded it. It means I don't have to use a lightning port on the iPhone, which I like to pretend doesn't exist. So overall, that pretty much covers everything other than, I guess, the pretty much standard battery bank. I think this might be one of the oldest pieces of tech I still use regularly. It's actually powering the microphone most of the time, because the H6 relies on AA batteries, which I don't want to have to buy new ones every time it runs out, so I just plug it into this, which is rechargeable. It supports wireless charging on the front and the back, which is kind of cool. So if you want to recharge it via MagSafe Duo, you can, and it should power the microphone for 4 to 6 weeks usually. I don't have to charge it very frequently. And there you have it, the whole Tailosive Tech Studio right within a backpack that fits easily under an airplane seat and doesn't weigh too much, but you still have the power of the M1 Max, all of the great advantages of iPadOS with the Apple Pencil, not to mention all of the chargers necessary, in a very lightweight design. I would say this is probably under 10 pounds total. Tripod doesn't take up too much space, and that means there's plenty of room left over for, you know, clothes, toothbrushes, and all of the main stuff that you need to take with you on a trip. So expect more videos with a bit of a different background than usual, but still a very beautiful one that is probably not going to be seen too frequently in the future. So I'm just gonna make do with what I got and appreciate what we have in the moment. Thank you all for watching. This is your App Sweep here. I'll see you in the next one.